Right, so as you guys know, I already said that I think this format that we're headed into is a hand trap format. And the reason why I say that is because I think that the decks in the modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! Are just too powerful that if you try to board break them, you think you're breaking the deck, or breaking the board, but it almost feels as if you don't kill them, specifically OTK them, then it's just kind of bad, right? And the main reason why I say that is because a lot of the decks, when they full combo, just kind of they just outgrind you, you know. So that's kind of like my thoughts right now on it. Hey guys, go to txx1.com and use pack10 for 10% off. You can get access to the best over sleeves in the game for competitive play. The Supreme Pros are what I'm currently using for my main deck right now, and if you guys want to get access to them as well, go to txx1.com and use pack10 for 10% off. See you there. Anyways, enjoy the video. Okay, so I have the categories separated into main deck. Maybe you main deck it. It's like questionable. I think side deck 100%, as in like you definitely want this card in your side deck. If it's not already in your main. Potential is in like I think there's some cool opportunities for this card to be good. And then go for my side deck is like you know what I'm saying, like this should be nowhere in your main or side. Like you should not have this deck anywhere in any part of your deck list, unless you're just like playing a gold event side event, you know, and you're just like screw it. But anyways, let's talk about the first hand trap, Ghost Reaper Winter Cherries. I think this card is in the potential format, and the reason why I say this is because I think there are two decks that could kind of utilize it right now in the format, which is the Centurion deck, because there's a lot of flexibility in its extra deck if you play the pure version, as well as the pure Kashtira deck. The pure Kashtira deck can definitely use Ghost Reaper, and like I said, it has a lot of potential, as well as like even like decks like Vanquish Soul, Fluanderies even, right? So I think this card has potential. It might not necessarily be insane, but it definitely has potential. I would put Ghost Mourner in the side deck, sorry, in like I would put this in the potential too, actually, because like the thing is, I think Ghost Mourner is like the 10th, 11th, 12th effect. Like it's like basically like, because I think it's like if you have Veil already and you have Imperm ready, it's like the extra copies of those cards. And if you think there'll be more Shifter, then it might be a little bit better. But I don't think Ghost Mourner is better than Veil or Impermanence, in my opinion. Right? Like, I think it's like your last resort if you can fit it in. I think like literally the only deck that could fit it in is maybe Centurion. And I know that like, I think Adidia played it in his Unchained deck recently that topped. And some people played it in like Unchained. But I don't know why you would play this over Veiler, in my opinion. But I just think it's like the third option. So I put it as potential. You could side deck for sure, but not, you know what I'm saying? Optional. Context C. Side event. Right? Ash Blossom, put this shit in your main. Alright? Just do everyone a favor and just throw this shit in your main deck. Okay? Ash Bloss is just, you know what I'm saying? It's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful card. You're never sad having Ash Blossom in your hand ever. It's just a great card. It covers literally every deck in the meta game. Just, you know what I'm saying? Ash Bloss. Just great. Just a great card. Chaos Hunter. Gold event. Gold format side event. You know what I'm saying? This shit is cheeks. Actually, funny enough, it came out in the same set as Max C. Anyways. Effect Veiler. I think this card, I think it's a main deck card. Look, I even main decked it for Wise's Richmond, and I really liked Effect Veiler because it's good into rescue, okay, and it's good into like those random decks like the like into like the Branded Chimera deck. Having Veiler is not bad. Like Effect Veiler is just like generic coverage. But you can make an argument to put it in the maybe you main it. Okay, it depends on the meta call, right? The meta call. It's about the meta call. I will put it in the maybe you main. It's like your 10th, 11th, 12th consideration. Lancia, it has potential into like rescue, but I think like Mona is probably Valor, and like if you need more cards to like answer rescue, and like it's a little bit better into like Fluon de Rees if you need a card for Flugu. Potential, definitely not something you wouldn't consider, but I don't think I would play it right now. Retaliating Sea, I think could be played in like Labyrinth maybe if you want something for like the Pearly matchup, but there's probably like better cards. Retail C can also be decent into like the branded matchups. I think Pearly can actually play Retail C not too badly, and then if you want, you can then search Context C after the fact. But I think it has potential. I don't think it's great though. Has potential. I think Gamma is a card that you can potentially side deck with Delta, okay? And the reason why I say this is because Gamma is just generically broken into like every deck in the meta right now. You will side Gamma in going second. If you want to make a meta call, alright, hear me out. If you want to make a meta call, you can play 2 Delta, which is a spell negate as well. And the spell negate is actually pretty good into a lot of matchups. Right? So you would play 1 Gamma double Delta. It's not a bad thing per se. I think if you want a little bit more handship, it's not that bad in my opinion. Like I would actually put it in the side deck and consider it, honestly. Yeah. I would put this Phantasma in the side deck as well because I think it's actually a really good card into like the Unchained matchup. Because it can draw you specific non-engine that you're looking for, and it helps unbricks you. I think it's a card you definitely consider in the side deck. Most decks right now make Little Knight. And like I just think Phantasma is really busted into Little Knight, right? So I think like Little Knight, like Phantasma being a card that's good into Little Knight is very strong, and it's also good into like rescue as well, right? The Bestials are definitely something I want to side deck, maybe even main deck, okay? The reason why is because of the fact that Bestials right now are just really good. If people play Centurion, it's good into Centurion because you can hit their Prima Donna at end phase. You can Bestial like, you know, the Tillman deck, which I think is very popular. You can Bestial Labyrinth. You can Bestial the branded decks. I think like Bestials are definitely something that I want to play my side deck most likely. Specifically Druid Swarm actually. Specifically Druid. But I do think these cards are insane. The fact that they give you a body as well is absurd because the extra bodies in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh converts to cards like Little Knight, Dark Charmer, Selene Axis, all that good stuff. So the extra body is also really nice. I wouldn't play Meister, and the reason why I put it as potential is I wouldn't play it unless you specifically want cards for Unchained. If you're just like scared of Unchained, just throw this shit in. You know? Just throw this shit in. Spooky Dogwood. Okay, this card, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Guys, look. This card is like Max C sometimes. I think in certain decks, you gotta play it. Alright? In certain decks, you gotta play this. Like Pearly, you might have to just play this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're playing... I saw it in, like, people were playing it in Unchained. I think the card has potential. It's just like Maxi in time. Okay, look. Okay? It's not anything crazy. But I think, like, in decks like Runix, you have to play it. In decks like Pearly, you're gonna have to play it. Decks that struggle with time, I think this card really helps solve that issue. Psycho Readers, unplayable at the moment. Saravis, unplayable at the moment. Token Collector, unplayable at the moment. No Material. This is a good one. This is interesting. This is interesting. Now, thing with No Material is I think it has some potential, but I think you have to like I don't know. Like, I think it has some potential. Because being able to freeze a monster is pretty clean in the format where, like against like Centurion, this card is just pretty decent in my opinion. Like, if you know material, the Centurion tuner, I actually don't know what they do. The Vice King against Unchained, or you like no material, their Yama. Actually, no material a Shavara is pretty good actually, but it just depends. I think it has potential. I don't know if it's gonna be that crazy yet. I don't think Orange Light or Green Light are that good at the moment, unless you're playing a deck that like specifically can utilize them. I think it's only Orange Light, if anything. I think DD Crow is a card I want to consider side decking, because it's good into like Nibru. It's good into like Unchained. It's good into like the Pearly matchup. It's good into the Tearlament matchup. I think DD Crow is a card that you would just want in your side deck because it covers so many options. It also has the ability to be used even if you don't control, if your opponent controls no monsters as well. So I actually do think this card is like pretty clean in my opinion. I really like this card a lot. So Nibru is a card that I would consider maybe main decking. Okay. And the main reason why I say so is because Unchained did really well in the last YCS. And if they don't like sequence their hand properly to beat the Nib, like Nibru can just be very devastating. Even in the main deck, if you go first and make it like a mediocre board, but you have Nib in your hand, it almost feels like unfair almost. Especially if like you get hand trapped a lot and you're committed to making a Little Knight with a Nib in hand, you might just get there. So, and like when you Little Knight yourself and you banish it to the end phase, being able to Nib your opponent and then bring back a Little Knight at end phase is also very powerful. I think Nib is like kind of has the ability to be main deckable. Obviously, it can be really bad, but it can be hit or miss. I definitely want it in my side deck for sure, if not my main. That's why I put it in the second category, right? So I think like putting it in the middle because of the fact that it's gonna be a meta call, but I do think that like Nib is a card I would actually consider main decking. We saw that at YCS Richmond, both the first place and second place Unchained duelists actually main deck Nib, and I think it served them really well. So I actually don't think it's too far-fetched to say that this card is a card that you should consider main decking, right? Shifter, obviously you main deck it if you can. All right, if you can main the Shifter and you're playing that Troll Despair deck, you know what I'm saying? Put that shit in, eh? Just put it in. Droll and Lockbird is a card that I would also consider main decking, okay? The reason why I say this is because it's a lot of decks in the format, and a lot of the decks that you don't know what's gonna happen to you, Droll kind of helps cover. It just, I just think that like Droll is like one of those cards that gives you a chance against unwinnable decks when you lose sometimes, right? Like I do think this deck could be main deckable, to be honest. Like the card is just really, really good in my opinion, right? And yeah. No, yeah, you guys are saying 100% main deck? I'll put it 100% main deck. All right. No, I think you should main deck it. No, like that's why I played Infernal, because Infernal plays under Droll really well, actually. You can move it to main. I actually would main it, but like people might disagree with me, to be honest. But I think Droll is solid. It's just a solid card. I think Valor, Nib, and Droll just all they're just all main deckable, kind of, you know. I think Imprim is an auto main deck card. Imprim is just so good. Like it's such a good card. It's like almost a board breaker and a hand trap in one. Like it's just so good. Like this card is just so clean. You know? Like it's just always like fire. Ghost Spell, if you're afraid of like If you're afraid of like the lab goo, Bell could be clean. Now, I would put Ghost Ogre very high in the potential list because Ghost Ogre might even be a side deck card because of the fact that it's very good into Centurion. It's very good into Centurion. Right? It's one of the answers to the Centurion board. And it might be worth siding if you think people will play Centurion. Right? It's also good into Sark. Yes, someone says Sark. It's good into the horse cards, horse engine as well. Honestly, it's not too bad against Pearly too. Right? Like into the Pearly matchup, having Ogre is kind of clean. I don't think you would ever main deck Ogre Ogre. But I think the fact that like it has coverage into Pearly, Horse, Pal, Centurion, it's not too shabby. And also sometimes you get to do the bootleg combo. You go Chain Ogre then Chain Veiler. It's like a bootleg Gamma, but hey, whatever it takes, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes. Chain Ogre, Chain Veiler. So yeah, I think this is kind of like where I'm at. I like I said, I think that basically at the moment, this is where I think the Handtraps are at. There's a couple cards like I think some people were talking about like Marinette Might, but I consider Marinette Might not a hand trap, but rather a board breaker because you're not really interacting turn 0. You're using it to like break your opponent's board. So, but yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what non-engine / hand traps you would consider main decking in the format as of right now, especially with how wide the format is. Like, what would you main deck in your deck? Okay, let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Poof.